The scalpel hovered like a guillotine over my father's last letter, its blade catching the sterile fluorescence of the Oval Office anteroom. "Burn it," the president growled from his desk, his voice a gravelly command that echoed off the walls lined with portraits of men who'd sold their souls for less. I didn't flinch, not after burying Dad last week. But when my hand trembled and the paper slipped to the floor, revealing his scrawled plea for forgiveness, something inside me cracked wide open, spilling secrets I'd buried deeper than his casket. "You think you're unbreakable, Terry?" The president's eyes, sharp as bayonets, pinned me from across the room. He was a towering figure, all broad shoulders and bourbon breath, the kind of man who built empires on broken backs. "Your old man's ghost is haunting the campaign trail. Polls are tanking. You're my golden boy, but golden boys don't bleed in public." His finger jabbed the air like an accusation. "Choose a life coach by dawn, or I'll choose your grave." I laughed then, a jagged, hollow sound that tasted like ash, because what else do you do when the most powerful man in America hands you a leash disguised as salvation? But as I stormed out into the D.C. night, rain slicking the streets like tears on a whore's cheek, I knew he was right. Dad's suicide note wasn't just ink on paper. It was a grenade, and I'd been dodging shrapnel my whole life. The cab ride back to my Georgetown brownstone blurred into a watercolor of neon and regret. I'd been the president's wunderkind since Yale. Terry Harlan, 28, policy whiz with a smile that sealed deals and a Rolodex thicker than my conscience. But Dad's death had unraveled me, threads of doubt pulling loose until I was fraying at the edges. The note? It wasn't just goodbye. It was a confession. "I couldn't love you the way you deserved, son. Not with what I carried." What he carried, the bottle, the affairs, the unspoken truth that he'd beaten the gay out of himself with fists and fire and brimstone sermons, only to pass the scars to me. By midnight, I was sprawled on my leather couch, laptop glowing like a false dawn, scrolling through profiles on some elite coaching app the White House had shoved down my throat. Executive Zen, peak potential partners, bullshit buzzwords for rich assholes peddling platitudes. Then I saw him, Gerald Voss, 42, ex-Marine, TED Talk darling on vulnerability in leadership. His photo hit like a gut punch. Salt and pepper hair cropped close, blue eyes that pierced through the screen like they knew your sins, jaw set in quiet defiance. Bio: I help men reclaim their fire. No masks. No mercy. Something twisted in my chest. Pull I couldn't name. I clicked select before the rational part of me could protest. Dawn broke with a knock that rattled my skull. Not the coach, worse. My assistant, Mia, thrusting a dossier at me like it was holy writ. Sir, the president's office confirmed your choice. Gerald Voss arrives at 9 a.m. Sharp. And this. She slid a thumb drive across the coffee table. Background. Clean as a whistle, but whispers from his military days. PTSD, they say. Tread light. Plugged it in. Heart hammering. Files bloomed. Commendations from Fallujah. A silver star for dragging his squad out of an ambush. Then the psych evals, redacted, but enough to glimpse the shadows. Subject exhibits hypervigilance. Suppressed emotional expression. Potential for intense interpersonal bonds. Bonds. The word lingered, warm and dangerous, as I showered off the night sweat, steam fogging the mirror where my reflection stared back, hollow-eyed and hungry. He was early. The doorbell chimed at 8:45, and there he stood in the doorway, filling the frame like a storm cloud. 6'3", broad-chested in a crisp white button-down rolled to the elbows, khakis hugging thighs that spoke of deadlifts and discipline. "Terry Harlan," he said, voice low and steady, like the rumble of thunder over the Potomac. Not a question. His handshake engulfed mine, calluses rough against my palm, and in that split second, I swear I felt it, a tremor, faint as a whisper, racing from his fingers to his wrist. "Mr. Boss. Gerald. Come in." I stepped aside, pulse skittering. The brownstones smelled of fresh coffee and old books, a sanctuary of mahogany and muted blues that suddenly felt too small for us both. He moved with purpose, scanning the space like a soldier assessing terrain. "Nice digs. Hiding from the world in here." A half smile, not mocking, but probing. He dropped his leather satchel by the armchair, pulling out a notebook that looked worn from wars I could only imagine. "Only from the ones who want to fix me." I poured him a mug, black, no sugar, guessed right from the no-nonsense vibe. Our fingers brushed again, and there it was, that tremble. Subtle, but unmistakable, like his heart had skipped a beat and betrayed him. We sat across from each other, the coffee table a no-man's land. "Ground rules," he started, pen poised. "This isn't therapy. It's excavation. We dig until it hurts, then dig deeper. You ready to bleed a little, Terry?" His eyes locked on mine, blue as Lake Michigan in winter, and I felt exposed, flayed. "The president thinks I need saving. Thinks Dad's note is a liability." The words tumbled out, unbidden, the letter's weight pressing on my ribs. Gerald leaned forward, elbows on knees, his scent cedar and clean soap invading my space. "Presidents see liabilities. I see men." Pause. "Tell me about the note." I did. Halting at first, then in a rush, the funeral in Ohio, the rain-slicked casket, Mom's stoic silence, the way the paper had burned my fingers with its plea. He said he couldn't love me right. Because of everything. My voice cracked on the edge of it. The everything that was me, gay in a world of straight arrows, loving men in shadows while Dad preached purity from the pulpit he'd built on lies. Gerald didn't flinch, didn't nod with pity. He just listened, that tremor in his hand now a faint tap against his thigh, like Morse code for something unspoken. "Sounds like he was the one who needed saving," he murmured finally. "Not you." The session stretched into hours, a blur of questions that peeled me layer by layer. My first crush on the Yale lacrosse captain, the hookups in D.C., bars that left me emptier than before, the way power in the West Wing tasted like ash because it couldn't fill the void. He pushed, relentless but kind, his voice an anchor in the storm. By noon, sweat beaded on my brow, and I was raw, trembling like a leaf in November wind. "Lunch?" he suggested, glancing at his watch. Not a command, but an invitation, soft around the edges. We walked to a hole-in-the-wall deli on M Street, the autumn air crisp with fallen leaves crunching underfoot. D.C. pulsed around us, tourists snapping selfies by the White House, suits hustling with briefcases like weapons. Gerald ordered pastrami on rye, extra mustard. I got turkey club, but picked at it, appetite lost to the adrenaline crash. "You're holding back," he said between bites, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. Manly, unapologetic. That note. What's the real fear? That you'll end up like him? I stared at my plate, the words sticking like thorns. Or worse, that I'll love wrong, too. That it'll destroy me like it did him. His boot nudged mine under the table. Accidental? No. Deliberate. A spark that jolted up my leg. Love doesn't destroy, Terry. Fear does. His gaze held mine, intense, and for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to the flecks of gold in his irises, the way his Adam's apple bobbed when he swallowed. Back at the brownstone, the second session dove deeper. He had me pace the room, voicing the letter's lines like a confession. I couldn't love you the way you deserved. Each repetition chipped at the walls I'd built, until tears burned hot tracks down my cheeks. Gerald stood then, crossing the space in 2 strides, his hand on my shoulder, firm, grounding. Breathe through it, he whispered, close enough that his breath ghosted my ear. I did, inhaling him, and that's when I heard it, not with ears, but with something primal. His heart, pounding against my arm where we touched, a frantic drum that belied his calm facade. Trembling. For me. The day ended with a handshake that lingered too long, promises of tomorrow. As he left, the door clicking shut, I sank to the floor, chest heaving. What the hell had I chosen? A coach? Or a man whose own cracks mirrored mine? That night, sleep evaded me, dreams tangled with blue eyes and battlefield scars. By morning, the president's call came like clockwork. Progress, Harlan, or do I need to yank the chain? I lied through gritted teeth. He's gold, sir. But inside, the truth uncoiled. Gerald Voss wasn't fixing me. He was unraveling us both. Sessions blurred into a rhythm. 3 times a week, the brownstone our battlefield. Gerald arrived with coffee and that quiet intensity, his marine precision applied to my chaos. We'd start structured, goal-setting for the campaign, reframing Dad's legacy as fuel, not fetter but inevitably, it veered personal. He'd share fragments. A deployment in the sandbox where he lost his best friend to an IED. The way grief hollowed him until he rebuilt with iron will. Vulnerability's my weapon now, he'd say, flexing a fist lightly. Yours too, if you let it. One Tuesday, rain lashed the windows like accusations, and I cracked open about my ex. Ryan, the lobbyist who'd ghosted me after a leaked photo nearly tanked my career. He said I was too intense. Too queer for the hill. The word hung, sharp. Gerald's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking. Fuck him. Intensity's what makes you alive. He stood, pacing now, energy crackling. Stand up, I did, and he faced me, inches away. Repeat after me. I'm not broken. I'm burning. I'm not. My voice faltered, but his hands gripped my arms, steadying. I'm burning. Louder. His thumbs brushed my biceps. Electric. I'm burning. It roared out, fierce, and he grinned feral, proud, pulling me into a hug that crushed the air from my lungs. His heart thundered against mine. No denying the tremble now, a shared quake that hummed with possibility. We pulled apart, flushed, the air thick. Good, he rasped. Now let's eat that fire. Dinner became ritual takeout from that deli, sprawled on the rug with plates balanced on knees, talking until the city lights bled into dawn. He opened up more. The discharge after a psych eval flagged his non-traditional attachments to his squad. code for the unspoken love he'd buried for his CO. Marines don't do gray areas, he said, staring into his beer. So I learned to lead without loving. And now, my question hung soft, vulnerable. His eyes met mine over the bottle's rim. Now, coach, I connect. But it's lonely as hell. That loneliness echoed in me, a mirror. One night, emboldened by Chianti, I leaned in during a lull, our knees touching. What if connection isn't enough? My hand found his, tentative. He froze, then covered it with his own, rough palm warm. It could be everything. The kiss came slow, inevitable lips brushing, testing, then deepening with a hunger that scorched. His stubble rasped my skin, hands cupping my face like I was fragile, precious. We tumbled to the couch, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies aligning in a frenzy of need. He was all muscle and restraint, whispering my name like a prayer as we moved together, sweat slick and urgent. In that release, I heard it again, his heart, trembling not in fear, but in surrender. After, tangled in sheets, his head on my chest, he murmured, "This complicates things." "Life's complications," I replied, tracing his scars, "are what make it worth living." But dawn brought the president's shadow. Mia's text, "Meeting tomorrow." Voss cleared for advisory role. Keep it professional. Professional. The word soured on my tongue as Gerald dressed, stealing kisses like contraband. We were playing with fire. All right. And DC. Winds fanned flames into infernos. The campaign trail ignited like dry tinder, a whirlwind of stump speeches in swing states and strategy sessions that bled into midnight. Gerald was embedded now, officially my performance coach, unofficially the man whose touch lingered on my skin like a brand. The president had approved it with a grunt over speakerphone. "If he polishes your rough edges, Harlan, use him. But no scandals. We're building a legacy here, not a tabloid. Legacy." The word mocked me as we jetted to Ohio, Dad's home turf, where the air still smelled of cornfields and regret. Gerald sat beside me on the Gulf Stream, his thigh pressed to mine under the guise of reviewing notes. "Breathe," he whispered when turbulence hit, his hand squeezing my knee, a secret anchor. In the dim cabin, with aides snoring in recliners, I turned, capturing his mouth in a kiss that tasted of adrenaline and fear. He groaned softly, pulling me closer, but broke it with a curse. "Not here. Not yet," yet came faster than either of us expected. That night in a Columbus hotel, after a rally where I channeled Dad's fire into a speech on mental health reform that drew tears from hardened farmers, we collided. The suite was all muted golds and king beds, city lights winking below like conspirators. "You were magnificent," he said, backing me against the door, hands roaming with marine precision, unbuttoning my shirt, tracing the ink of my hidden tattoo, a phoenix Dad had hated. Raw. Real. His praise undid me. I yanked him down, mouths crashing, bodies a tangle of urgency. He lifted me effortlessly, legs wrapping his waist as he carried me to the bed, shedding clothes in a trail of discarded armor. Skin to skin. He was a landscape of scars and strength. Bullet grazes on his ribs, a knife mark low on his hip from some forgotten skirmish. I mapped them with lips and tongue, drawing gasps that bordered on pleas. Terry. God. When he entered me, slow and deliberate, it was revelation. his eyes locked on mine, trembling heart echoing in every thrust, every whispered mine. We shattered together, aftermath a haze of limbs and laughter, his fingers combing my hair as rain pattered the window. "This," he said, voice rough with emotion, "is what I meant by fire, but Ohio unearthed ghosts." The next day, at Dad's old church, a white-steepled relic on the edge of town, the pastor cornered me post-photo op. "Your father was a good man, Terry. Troubled, but good. He spoke of you often. Of regrets." His eyes flicked to Gerald, standing sentinel by the limo. "Be careful who you let close. Not all flames warm." The warning lodged like a splinter. That evening, over bourbon in the hotel bar, Gerald opened his scars wider. I lost my CO in that ambush. Not just to the blast, to the silence after. We were close. More than brothers. His voice cracked, fist clenching around the glass. I held him as he died, begging him to fight. But he looked at me like I was the enemy, for loving him wrong. My chest ached, mirroring his pain. "You didn't love wrong. He did, by making you doubt it." He searched my face, then pulled me into the shadows of the booth, kissing me fierce and forgiving. "You make me believe that." Back in DC, the bubble burst. Whispers slithered through the West Wing. Aides eyeing Gerald's easy camaraderie, Mia shooting me knowing glances. The president summoned us separately. Mine was a cigar-choked chew-out in the Roosevelt room. "Harlan, your numbers are up." That Ohio speech was gold, but don't mistake momentum for immunity. Voss is an asset, not a crutch. Keep your dick in your pants, or I'll have HR reassign him to Alaska. I nodded, mute, but inside rage boiled. Gerald's meeting? He came out ashen, lips pressed thin. "He knows," was all he said in the elevator, thumb brushing my hand in fleeting reassurance. We adapted stolen moments in my brownstone. Encrypted texts laced with code. "Session at 8? Meant bodies entwined till dawn. Romance bloomed in the cracks. Lazy Sundays with pancakes and playlists of Springsteen and Cash. His head in my lap as I read policy briefs aloud, mocking the jargon. He taught me to shoot at a Virginia range. His body flush against mine to steady the grip, breath hot on my neck. "Focus on the target," he'd murmur, but his eyes said otherwise. Yet conflict simmered. Gerald's past clawed back one November Eve. A call from an old squad mate pulling him to a VFW hall in Arlington. He returned hollow-eyed, smelling of stale beer and regret. They toasted the fallen. Asked about my life coaching gig. One guy. He knew. About me and the CO. Said it got us killed. My weakness distracted command. "Bullshit," I snarled, pulling him close. "It was war, not you." He clung, trembling anew. "What if it's true? What if I drag you down too?" We made love that night with desperate edge, reclaiming each other in gasps and grips. But dawn brought distance. He pulled back in sessions, professional armor snapping into place. "We need boundaries," he said over coffee. Eyes averted. "For your sake." Boundaries chafed like ill-fitting suits. The campaign peaked with a holiday gala at the Kennedy Center, black ties and backroom deals glittering under chandeliers. I spotted him across the room, Gerald in a tailored tux that hugged his frame like sin, laughing with donors. Jealousy spiked, irrational and hot, when a silver-haired senator clapped his shoulder too familiarly. I cornered him in an alcove, Silk tie askew. Boundaries? Or regrets? His hand fisted my lapel, yanking me close. Never regrets. Just fear. Then he kissed me. Hard, possessive, tongue claiming, body pinning mine to the velvet curtain. Applause from the hall drowned our moans as hands wandered, risky and reckless. You're mine, Terry. Damn the world. We slipped away to his sleek condo overlooking the mall, a minimalist fortress of steel and glass that screamed controlled chaos. Their barriers crumbled. He blindfolded me with his tie, teasing with ice from champagne flutes trailed down my chest, his mouth following hot, worshipful. Feel this, he growled, guiding my hand to his racing heart. Trembling, always trembling for me. I flipped him, taking control, drawing out his surrender in broken pleas until we collapsed, spent and sated, monuments glowing like witnesses below. But betrayal brewed in the shadows. December brought snow to D.C., blanketing sins in white. Mia handed me a folder during a briefing, anonymous tip. She said, face pale. Photos, Gerald with the senator, arms around each other at a fundraiser 2 years back. Grainy, but damning. Emails attached, consulting gigs, or more. My stomach plummeted. Confrontation came that night, snow swirling outside as he arrived for session. I thrust the folder at him, voice steel. Explain. His face drained of color, eyes flicking to the images. It's not, Terry. Listen. He sank to the couch, head in hands. The senator. He was a client. After my discharge. Needed help with his image post scandal. It was professional. Mostly, the word sliced. A kiss. Once. Drunk, desperate for connection. Nothing more. I swear. His voice broke, reaching for me. I've never lied to you, but doubt festered. Poison. The president warned me. No scandals. And here you are, tangled in one. Tangled. He surged up, hurt flashing. This us is the only real thing I've had since the desert. Don't let ghosts win. We argued till hoarse. Words weapons. My fear of exposure. His shame from the past. He stormed out into the blizzard, door slamming like a guillotine. Alone, I crumpled the photos, but the damage lingered, a crack in our foundation. Christmas Eve, the White House party loomed, a minefield of egos and eggnog. I attended solo, numb in a Santa red tie, schmoozing senators while scanning for him. He was there, cornered by the president, their heads bent in low talk. When our eyes met across the room, his held apology, mine accusation. Later, in the rose garden under twinkling lights, he found me nursing a scotch by the frozen fountain. I ended it, he said, breath fogging. The consulting. All of it. For us. Us. I laughed bitterly. Or for the job. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb stroking. For the man who makes my heart race like a rookie in Foxhole. The kiss was snowflake soft, melting reservations. We retreated to a guest room, making slow, reverent love on silk sheets, exploring with candlelight patience, whispers of sorry and stay sealing wounds. But the real storm hit New Year's. A leak, my speech notes, twisted to paint me soft on defense. Dad's weakness amplified. Polls cratered. The president roared over the phone. Fix it, or you're done. Gerald stepped up. War room general in my living room. White bards scrawled with counter-strategies. We hit back with authenticity, he insisted. Marker in teeth. Your story, Dads. Yours. Turn vulnerability to strength. It worked. The counter-speech in Iowa. Broadcast live. Me raw and raging against stigma. Drew record views. Hugs from strangers. Tears from vets. Gerald watched from wings. Pride swelling his chest. Intimacy deepened in victory's glow. One February night. Post-win in Philly. Hotel penthouse with skyline views. He proposed not rings, but futures. Run with me, Terry. Not the campaign. Life. His fingers traced my spine as we lay entwined. Heart steady now. No tremble but trust. I said yes, sealing it with bodies and vows murmured in dark. Romance wasn't fireworks. It was hearth. Cooking disasters laughed off. Morning runs along the tidal basin. His hand in mine under starless skies. Yet power's price loomed. The president pulled strings, offering Gerald a cushy Pentagon gig if he stepped back from coaching. Conflicts of interest, he called it, eyes gleaming. Gerald refused, but tension coiled. Late nights poring over classified briefs he couldn't share, my rising star casting long shadows. Spring bloomed betrayal's flower. April, cherry blossoms shedding like confetti. Mia uncovered more. The senator, bitter over lost services, feeding dirt to a reporter. Not just old photos, allegations of Gerald's instability. Psych evals twisted to question his clearance. I confronted him in the condo, voice shaking. Did you know? Know what? Confusion. Then horror as I read the email chain. His old CO's family. Paid off for silence on inappropriate conduct. It was protection, he whispered, collapsing. After the death, rumors flew. I paid to bury them. To survive. Survival or lies? Pain lanced. Fresh. You said no masks. He reached. Desperate. This is me. Bear. I was scared of losing everything. Like I'm losing you now. We shattered that night. Words like shrapnel. He left with a duffel. I's dead. Maybe the president's right. I'm the liability. Alone. DC's hum mocked me. The campaign surged on autopilot. But I was hollow. Heart echoing his tremble. Summer scorched DC. Like a fever dream. Humidity clinging like regret as the convention neared. I threw myself into the fray. Debate preps till 3 a.m. Donor calls that blurred into one endless pitch. Gerald's absence was a phantom limb, aching in quiet moments. The empty side of the bed, the coffee mug he favored gathering dust. We'd agreed to space, for clarity, he'd texted, but clarity was a lie. I missed his gravel voice critiquing my tie knots, the way his laugh rumbled like thunder after rain. The president noticed, of course. Over a rose garden lunch of rubber chicken and rhetoric, he skewered me with that basilisk stare. Voss ghosted? Good. Distractions kill dynasties. Harlan. You're my VP pick if you play smart. VP. The word dangled like bait. Golden hook in poison waters. But as he droned on about legacy, all I saw was Gerald's face, crumpled in that final fight. Reunion came unbidden. A late July fundraiser in the Hamptons, beaches and billionaires, air salt thick with secrets. I spotted him across the lawn, tux rumpled, nursing a scotch by the infinity pool. Thinner, shadows under his eyes, but still that magnetic pull, drawing me like tide to moon. Terry, his voice cracked the party din, hand extended not for shake, but clasp, fingers intertwining, thumb stroking my knuckle. Gerald, the name tasted like home. We retreated to a gazebo strung with fairy lights, waves crashing below like applause for fools. "I'm sorry," he started, but I silenced him with a finger to lips. "Me first. I pushed you away because I was scared of us, of losing the only real thing in this circus." Tears pricked, unmanly in the moonlight. "Come back." He pulled me close, forehead to mine, breath mingling. "I never left. Not here." Hand over heart, trembling faint but fierce. The kiss reignited embers to blaze, urgent, forgiving, hands fumbling buttons as cicadas chorused approval. We tumbled onto a cushioned bench, bodies rediscovering rhythms. His weight grounding me, my nails raking his back in possession. Release came shuddering, whispered, "I love you," as sealing the pact. Back in DC, we rebuilt brick by careful brick. No more secrets, he showed me the old emails, the payoffs explained not as deceit but desperation. I was surviving, not scheming. Forgiveness flowed, laced with deeper bonds. Weekend escapes to Shenandoah, hiking trails where we'd fuck against oaks. Earth scent and sweat mingling. Quiet evenings with his war stories, my policy rants, laughter bridging gaps. But conflict crested at the convention. Charlotte's arena pulsed with delegates in red, white, blue, balloons bobbing like dreams afloat. I was slotted for keynote VP nomination on the line, the president's hand-picked heir. Gerald prepped me relentlessly, his Marine drills honed to oratory. Own the stage. Let them see the man, not the mask. The night before, nerves jangling, we made love like ritual, slow, sacred, his mouth mapping my body with devotions. Strong here, kiss to collarbone. Brave here, tongue circling nipple. Inside me, he moved with purpose, eyes never leaving mine. "You're ready." Climax crashed like waves, leaving us adrift in afterglow. Showtime, spotlights blinding, crowd a sea of signs. Harlan for hope. I gripped the podium, heart slamming, and launched. Dad's story first. Raw edges unpolished, the alcoholism, the unspoken queerness he'd beaten down, the note as olive branch too late. He taught me love isn't perfection. It's persistence. Through pain, through pride, gasps rippled, then cheers. I pivoted to policy, mental health mandates, LGBTQ protections woven seamless, voice steady, fire lit. From wings, Gerald watched, tears tracking his cheeks, pride a beacon. Post-speech, backstage crush of backslaps and bubbly, but he carved through, pulling me into shadows for a kiss that tasted victory sweet. "You did it," he breathed, hands splayed over my racing heart. The high shattered at dawn. AIDS burst into the hotel suite. Leaked audio, anonymous source, me, post-gala drunk dial to Gerald last winter, slurring affections explicit as sin. "I love you, you bastard. Can't do this without your hands on me." Tabloids would feast. VP hopeful's bedroom betrayal. Panic clawed. The president called. Voice Arctic. Damage control. Now. Voss's poison. Cut him loose, or the nomination dies. Gerald, overhearing on speaker, went statue still. "It's me, isn't it? The leak. Senator's revenge," I confirmed. gut twisting. He wants blood. Then give it. Gerald's eyes dulled, resolve hardening. Step back publicly. Blame the booze. Not us. But betrayal's sting was mine, to him, for considering it. No. We fight. The war room convened. Spin doctors scripting denials, Mia digging source trails. Gerald orchestrated like a general, but cracks showed. His hand shaking as he lit a rare cigarette on the balcony, smoke curling like doubts. If it costs you everything, it won't. I joined him, arms around waist, chin to shoulder. You're everything. Climax erupted mid-convention. Presser in a sweltering ballroom, cameras flashing like gunfire. I stepped up alone, Gerald's counsel in my earpiece, steadying. Truth, Terry. Always. Questions pelted. Is the audio authentic? Does this impact your viability? I owned it, voice calm, eyes front. Yes, it's me. And yes, I love him. Gerald Voss isn't a scandal, he's my strength. In a town built on facades, authenticity is the revolution. Gasps. Then, miracle. Applause from the back. A young reporter shouting, "About damn time." The room ignited, phones buzzing with viral clips. The president, watching remote, called post-presser. Silence, then gruff. Ballsy. Kid. Might just work. It did. Polls spiked. Donors flooded. The LGBTQ caucus anointing me icon overnight. But victory's cost carved deep. Gerald vanished post-presser. A note on hotel stationery. Proud of you. Needed air. Back soon. Days stretched to weeks. Convention blur to fall tour. Texts unanswered. Calls to voicemail. Panic gnawed. Had the exposure broken him? His past. The whispers of weakness. Amplified now on every screen. I hunted. His condo empty. VFW contacts dry. Finally, Mia's lead, a clinic in Bethesda, PTSD specialist. I drove through October leaves turning blood red, heart in throat. He was there, courtyard bench under maples, staring at nothing. Thinner, beard shadowing jaw, but alive. Terry, no tremble, just exhaustion. Why? One word. World-weary. Fear one. He stood, hands in pockets. Seeing you burn bright. I dimmed. Thought I'd eclipse you. You eclipse nothing. I closed distance, cupping his face. We burned together. He leaned in, forehead to mine, sob escaping. I love you. But the world's watching now. Can we survive it? The kiss answered, desperate, devouring, leaves swirling witness. We retreated to my rental car, windows fogging as hands roamed, reclaiming in hurried passion. His mouth on my neck, my fingers in his hair, release a gasp against leather seats. Together, we vowed, driving into sunset. Back in D.C., the tour ramped, rallies in Rust Belt towns, where vets clapped Gerald's back, sharing stories that knit him whole. Romance matured, not stolen, but shared hand-holding at events, his arm around me in photos, headlines shifting from scandal to symbol. Yet undercurrents swirled. The senator sued for defamation, dredging Gerald's military files, CO's death report, distracted leadership underlined. Whispers in briefings, is Voss stable? The president hedged. Prove your worth. Harlan, clash peaked Thanksgiving. Family dinner at Mom's Ohio farm, turkey and tension. Ants side-eyeing my friend. Gerald charmed, carving bird with steady hand. But post-meal, on the porch swing, he confessed, "Your world, the suffocating me, the stares, the scrutiny. Then we reshape it." I pulled him inside, to the guest room, making love with quiet intensity. Slow grinds, I locked, his heart steady thrum my metronome. No more hiding. December brought the primary gauntlet. Snow-slick roads and soul-bearing ads. Gerald anchored, but strain showed, nightmares jolting him awake. My name a talisman on lips. One blizzard night, holed up in a Milwaukee motel, he broke. I saw the CO in a dream, blaming me. For us. You're not him. I held him through shakes. Bodies entwining for comfort. Not fire. Gentle strokes turning fervent. Release a bomb. We're us. Betrayal's echo lingered. Though not from him, but the machine. A rival campaign poached an aide. Leaking my health records. Dad's depression flagged as hereditary instability. Polls dipped. President's faith waned. Shape up or ship out. Gerald rallied. Boot camp mornings. Affirmations barked like orders. You're unbreakable. Progress. But cost, his eyes hollowing. My temper fraying. New Year's Eve. Times Square echo in a private DC. Bash. We toasted amid confetti. To us, he said, pulling me to dance, slow sway to jazz. Bodies flush. The kiss at midnight sparked deeper. Upstairs, in a borrowed penthouse, we explored edges. His wrists bound playful with silk. My commands whispered, drawing moans that built to crescendo. Yours, he gasped, heart wild. But dawn's light revealed the fracture. A call. President's withdrawal of endorsement. Personal reasons. Rumor mill-churned. Gerald's files. Twisted anew. Confrontation in Oval. He's a liability, the old man spat. Cut ties. Or sink. Rage boiled. He's the best of me. Lose him. Lose me. Door slammed on way out. Alliance shattered. Campaign teetered. But freedom tasted sweet. Winter's grip tightened into January. Primaries a brutal gauntlet of ice-rimed arenas and frozen crowds. Without the president's machine, I was underdog funds drying, endorsements evaporating like breath on glass. Gerald became Colossus, fundraising calls in his commanding baritone, strategy sessions where his battlefield acumen outshone Ivy League suits. We don't need kings, he'd say, mapping voter maps on my kitchen table, marker smudges on his cheek like war paint. We need warriors. Warriors bled, though. A New Hampshire town hall turned ugly, hecklers chanting "Ferry for president?" Slurs laced with Dad's ghost. I faltered mid-answer, voice cracking on equality pledge. Gerald, from front row, stood towering, unyielding. I've buried friends for freedoms you spit on. Sit down. Silence fell, then cheers. His hand finding mine post-event in a handshake that lingered. Thumb promise. Intimacy anchored us through storms. Vermont cabin retreat. Snowed in with whiskey and woodstove glow. We built forts of blankets. Fucking lazy and deep. His body over mine. Slow rolls, sinking breaths. Laughter bubbling when embers popped. My warrior, I murmured, tracing his jaw. My home, betrayal struck from within. February Super Tuesday Eve. Mia confessed, pressured by the ex-president's camp. She'd forwarded concerns about Gerald's stability. They threatened my job, Terry. Caved. Her tears genuine, but wound fresh. I fired her on spot. Voice ice. Trust is currency. You bankrupted us. Alone in the war room, monitors flickering exit polls. Gerald found me slumped. What now? Now? We burn brighter. He knelt, hands on thighs, blue eyes fierce. That night, rage transmuted to passion, rough edges, nails scoring backs. His growls mingling pleas. Harder. Love you. Release cathartic. Purging poison. Polls rebounded. My independence narrative catching fire. Underdog gay vet son versus machine. Gerald's visibility grew. Op-eds on toxic masculinity. Panels with trans vets. His vulnerability a blade cutting through apathy. But fame's glare scorched. Paparazzi tailed our runs. Headlines dissecting his groomer past. Twisted therapy into predation. He withdrew. Sessions sparse. Nights solitary on the balcony with bourbon. I'm poison, he repeated. Echo of old fears. I pulled him inside one March midnight. Bodies clash of need. Pinning him to wall. Mouths bruising. Thrusts reclaiming territory. Your elixir, I gasped, his legs locking waist. But after, in dark, he whispered, what if I can't be enough? Spring primaries surged. South Carolina to California, crowds swelling with rainbow pins and vet caps. We stole moments. Stolen blowjob in a Des Moines green room. His head thrown back silent. Lazy 69 in a Nevada motel. Sunlight slanting gold on sweat-slick skin. Romance deepened humanistic, volunteering at DC. Shelters. His hands gentle with scared queer kids. My speeches weaving his stories. Love saved me. Let it save us all. Climax brewed in convention fever. Nominee slot teetered. Rivals circling. Gerald's ex-squad mate resurfaced. Whistleblower now. Selling tales to Fox. Voss's distractions killed my brother. Lies layered on half-truths. Psych evals forged in fire. Press storm hit Cleveland Arena. Delegates fracturing. I addressed floor. Voice thunder. They call him broken. I call him brave. The man who dragged heroes from hell. Who loves without armor. That strength America needs. Cheers deafened. But backstage. Gerald paced. Ghost pale. It's over. The truth. It'll gut you. Truth sets free. I cupped his face. Kissed salt with tears. That night, in sweet overlooking lake, we bared all his full confession. The CO love. The post-death cover-up not payoff but plea for peace. Family grief twisted to grudge. I hid to heal. Not to hurt. Forgiveness flowed. Bodies merging tender. Missionary slow. Eyes locked. His heart's tremble my symphony. Together, we breathed. Climax a vow. Nomination clinched at dawn. Balloons bursting like hope. But betrayal's final blow landed election night eve. The rival, backed by President's machine, unearthed Dad's full letter, unredacted, revealing not just regret, but accusation, Terry's choices. They killed the man I was. Forged? No. Mom's doing, her fear of my lifestyle weaponized by handlers. Scandal exploded. Networks looping snippets. Crowds thinned. Donors fled. Gerald held vigil in hotel war room, his hand in mine as returns trickled, losses stacking like indictments. We pivot, he urged, but voice hollowed. Midnight call from Mom, confession sobbing. They paid me. Said it'd protect the family name. Rage. then pity her own cage of convention. Election dawn broke gray, concession speech prepped. But in quiet hour, Gerald pulled me to balcony, city stirring below. "Run away with me," he said, sudden, raw. No campaigns, no ghosts. Just us in some mountain town, coaching kids, growing old, temptation tugged, heart aching. And abandon this? Abandon chains. His kiss seared, hands urgent, stripping in chill air, bending me over rail, entering with possessive thrust. Wind-whipped moans, release crashing with waves below. Choose life. Terry, the speech that afternoon, Grant Park echo in mind. I owned it all. Dad's letter lie, Mom's fear, my love's plural, unashamed. America isn't perfection. It's progress. With Gerald Voss by my side, I'll fight for that every day. No concession, suspension, regroup. Crowds roared, rainbow waves cresting. President's camp crumbled, his own scandals unearthed, affairs, bribes. Vindication bittersweet. Fallout reshaped us. Campaign downsized to movement, grassroots, unyielding. Gerald and I retreated to Virginia farm, rolling hills gold in autumn. Mornings, coffee on porch, his head my lap, fingers in hair. Afternoons, hikes where we'd pause, fucking against boulders, earth mother to our abandon, cries echoing valleys. Humanism bloomed, founding Voss Harlan Center, therapy for vets and queer youth, his expertise my passion fueling change. Romance settled domestic, Thanksgiving with chosen family, his turkey carving flawless, Christmas tree trimmed with dog tags and pride flags, lovemaking by firelight slow, soul deep. Yet scars lingered. One winter night, nightmare jolted, he woke gasping Co's name. I held him, bodies soothing, gentle rocks, whispers, climax soft as snowfall. You're safe, I murmured. We're home. Spring brought renewal, engagement quiet, rings etched with phoenixes. Wedding small, Ohio church reclaimed, Dad's pastor, reformed, officiating under blossoms. Vows, I choose you, Tremble and all, honeymoon in Big Sur, cliffs crashing Pacific, days surfing, nights tangled in cabin, exploring kinks, light bondage, his submission gift. Bind me, he'd beg, heart wild. Release always communal, afterglow talks of futures, adoption dreams, legacy not power but love. Years folded, center thriving, book deals, TED echoes. I ran local, one mayor, small stage, vast impact. Gerald coached pro bono, his Tremble now laugh lines around smiles. Betrayal's ghost visited rarely, a tabloid revival, senator's jail stint stirring mud. We'd weather, bodies reaffirming, passionate nights, his dominance tender, my yield total. Humanistic end, not triumph, but tranquility. On 20th anniversary, under same oak, we renewed, vows updated, kids, adopted twins, giggling witness. You heard my heart first, he said, kiss salt sweet. And I'll listen forever, decades distilled to essence. Our story a tapestry of tempests tamed. The center expanded, satellites in every state. Vets finding voice in group circles where Gerald facilitated. His gravel timbre a lighthouse. I joined sporadically, sharing policy wins, bills passed for queer rights, Mental health parity in VA budgets. Twins, Alex and Jordan, fierce, freckled mirrors of us, thrived. Alex out as non-binary at 16. Jordan captaining debate with unapologetic flair. You two set the bar impossible. They'd tease over family dinners, pasta sauce splattering like confetti. Romance evolved, not faded. Mornings still sparked with his hand sliding possessively under sheets, pulling me atop for lazy rides, coffee cooling forgotten. Still trembles for you, he'd growl, blue eyes wicked. Afternoons, farm work, his broad back bent tilling soil, me admiring till tackling him into hay, laughter turning lust, quick tumbles, dirt-streaked and delightful. Conflict revisited softly. A 2045 docuseries dredged the old scandals. President's fall. Our leaked audio now pivotal moment. Protests erupted outside center. Fringe groups decrying indoctrination. Gerald tensed. Old hypervigilance flickering, nights pacing. My arms his harbor. They can't touch us now. I'd soothe. Guiding to bed for grounding sex. Slow. Face to face. Heart sinking till release washed worries. Betrayal's final echo. Mom's passing. Quiet in hospice. Letter hand-delivered. Apology genuine. I chose fear over family. Forgive if you can. We did. Graveside. Gerald's hand steady in mine. Human, he murmured. Like us. Climax came unexpected. National crisis. 2052 pulse. Youth suicide epidemic. Queer kids' hardest hit. I testified. Voice honed by years. I lost my father to silence. Won't lose a generation. Gerald testified beside. Raw Marine recount. Love saved me from the dark. Let it save them. Bills birthed. Named Voss Harlan Act. Mandating inclusive counseling nationwide. Signing ceremony. Rose garden irony. Twins beaming. I pulled him close post-pen. We did this. You did. His kiss public. Unheeding flashes. Tremble gone. Replaced by thunderous pride. Later. Private jet to anniversary getaway. Bermuda sands. Turquoise teas. Sweet balcony. Waves lullaby. We made love under stars. Exploratory. Playful, oils and toys from years' adventures. His moans music. Forever, we gasped. Climax cosmic. Humanistic coda. Twilight years on farm. Porch rockers creaking. Grandkids romped fields. Alex's partner grilling. Jordan's wife chasing toddlers. Gerald. Silver fully claimed. Hand in mine. Hear that? I tilted ear, his heart. Steady bass under palm. Still mine. Epilogue's grace. No tragedy. A quiet victory. In end. We chose each other. Trembles to triumphs. Masks to mirrors. America. Flawed forge. Tempered us true. Love. The ultimate humanism. Endured.